The Witch's Dream Book and Fortune Teller, by A. H. No. Part 2. Physiognomy. The principles of philosophy demonstrate that the human features are a reflex of the mental and physical workings of the system, as it is from time to time operated upon by surrounding circumstances, and they therefore act an important part in depicting the lights and shades of temperament and disposition. So, also, the color and nature of the hair are indicative of character. In the pages immediately following will be found fully presented prognostics to be drawn from the latter, as also from the forehead, eyebrows, eyes, nose, mouth, chin, and the whole assemblage of features. The gentleman whose hair is very black and smooth, hanging far over his shoulders, and in large quantity, is mild, but resolute, cool until greatly provoked, not much inclined to excesses, constant in his attachments, not liable to many misfortunes. A lady with the same kind of hair is moderate in her desires of every kind, addicted to reflection, not violent in love, but steady in her attachments. If the hair is very black, short and curling, the gentleman will be very much given to liquor, somewhat quarrelsome and of unsettled temper, desirous of riches, but will often be disappointed in his wishes therein. A gentleman with dark brown, long and smooth hair, is generally of a robust constitution, obstinate in his temper, eager in his pursuits, a lover of the fair sex, fond of variety in his ordinary pursuits, exceedingly curious, and of a flexible disposition. He will live long, unless guilty of early intemperance. A lady with the same kind of hair will be nearly the same as the gentleman, but more steady in her conduct and attachments, especially in love. She will be of a good constitution, have many children, enjoy good health and a reasonable share of happiness. If the hair is short and bushy, it will make very little alteration in the gentleman or lady, but that the gentleman will be more forward to strike when provoked and the lady will be more of a scold. A gentleman with light brown, long, smooth hair, is of a peaceable, even, and rather generous temper, will prevent mischief if in his power, but when very much provoked will strike furiously, but is afterward sorry for his passion and soon appeased, strongly attached to the company of ladies and will protect them from insult. Upon the whole, he is in general of an amiable character, affable and kind. A lady with the same kind of hair is tender-hearted, but hasty in temper, neither obstinate nor haughty, her inclination to love never unreasonable, her constitution will be good, but she will be seldom very fortunate. A gentleman with fair hair will be of a weak constitution, his mind given much to reflection, especially on religious matters. He will be assiduous in his occupation, but not given to rambling. Very moderate in his amorous wishes, but he will not live to an old age. A lady with this colored hair is on the contrary of a good constitution, never to be diverted from her purpose, passionate in love affairs, never easy unless in company, and delights in hearing herself praised, especially for beauty, delights in dancing and strong exercises and commonly lives to a great age. A gentleman with long red hair is cunning, artful and deceitful, he is much addicted to traffic of some kind. Restless in his disposition, constantly roving and desirous of enjoying the pleasures of love. He is covetous of getting money and spends it foolishly. He is indefatigable and no obstacle will induce him to forsake his enterprise until he has seen the issue of it. He is inclined to timidity, but by reflection may correct it and pass for a man of courage. A lady with the same kind of hair, is glib of tongue, talkative and vain, her temper is impatient and fiery and will not submit to contradiction, she has a constant flow of spirits and is much given to the pleasures of love. However delicate her person may seem, her constitution is generally vigorous, but she seldom lives to see old age, for obvious reasons. Her promises are seldom to be depended upon, because the next object that engrosses her attention makes her forgetful of everything that preceded it. And she will always resent any disappointment she may meet with. If the hair falls off at the forepart of the head, the person will be easily led, though otherwise rational, and will often be duped when he thinks he is acting right. He will likewise frequently meet with disappointments in money matters, which will either hurt his credit, or force him to shorten his expenses. If the hair falls off behind, he will be obstinate, peevish, passionate and fond of commanding others, though he has no right. And will grow angry if his advice is not followed. However preposterous, he will be fond of hearing and telling old stories and tales of ghosts and fairies, but will be a good domestic man and provide for his family to the utmost of his power. If the hair forms an arch around the forehead, without being much indented at the temples, both the lady and the gentleman will be innocent, credulous, moderate in all their desires, and though not ardent in their pursuits, will still be persevering. They will be modest, good-natured, prosperous and happy. If the hair is indented at the temples, the person will be affable, steady, good-natured, prudent and attentive to business, of a good constitution and long-lived. If the hair descends low upon the forehead, the person will be selfish and designing, of a surly disposition, unsociable and given to drinking. He will be addicted to avarice and his mind will be always intent upon the means of carrying on his schemes. The forehead that is large, round and smooth, announces the lady or gentleman to be frank, open, generous and free, good-natured and a safe companion, of a good understanding and scorns to be guilty of any mean action, faithful to his promises, just in his dealings, steadfast in his engagements and sincere in his affections. He will enjoy a moderate state of health. If the forehead is flat in the middle, the gentleman or lady will be found to be vainglorious and but little disposed to generosity. Very tenacious of his honor, but brave, he will be fond of prying into the secrets of others, though not with the intention of betraying them. He will be fond of reading newspapers, history, novels, and plays, ardent, and very cautious of his own reputation. If there be a hollow across the forehead, in the middle, with a ridge as of flesh, above, and another below, the gentleman will be a good scholar, and the lady a great manufacturer, or attentive to whatever occupation she may be engaged in. They will be warm in argument or debate, they will be firm and steady in any point they fix their minds upon and by their perseverance will generally carry their object, yet they will meet with many crosses, but will bear them with patience. If the forehead juts out immediately at and over the eyebrows, running flat up to the hair, the gentleman or lady will be sullen, proud, insolent, imperious and treacherous. They will be impatient when contradicted, apt to give great abuse, and to strike if they think they can do it with advantage. They will also impose upon any person, never forgive any injury and by their misconduct make themselves many enemies. If the temples are hollow, with the bones advancing towards the forehead on either side, so that the space between must be necessarily flat, with a small channel or indentation rising from the upper part of the nose to the hair, the gentleman or lady will be of a daring and intrepid temper, introducing themselves into matters where they have no business, desirous of passing for wits, and of a subtle and enterprising nature, greedy of praise, quick in quarrel, and of a wandering disposition. Very lewd, and full of resentment when they feel their pride hurt. In short, they delight in mischief, riots, etc. If the eyebrows are very hairy, and that hair long and curled, with several of the hairs starting out, the gentleman or lady is of a gloomy disposition, litigious and quarrelsome, although a coward, greedy after the affairs of this world, perpetually brooding over some melancholy subject and not an agreeable companion. He will be diffident, penurious, and weak in his understanding. Never addicted to any kind of learning. He will pretend much friendship, but will make his affected passion subservient to his pecuniary designs, and given to drinking, etc. If a gentleman or lady has long eyebrows, with some long hairs, they will be of a fickle disposition, weak-minded, credulous and vain, always seeking after novelties and neglecting their own business. They will be talkative, pert, and disagreeable in company, very fond of contradiction, and will not bear disappointment patiently. And also much addicted to drinking, etc. If the eyebrows are thick and even, that is, without any or few starting hairs, the lady or gentleman will be of an agreeable temper, sound understanding and tolerable wit, moderately addicted to pleasure, fearful of giving offense, but intrepid and persevering in support of right, charitable and generous, sincere in their professions of love and friendship and enjoy a good constitution. If the eyebrow is small, thin of hair, and even, the lady or gentleman will be weak-minded, timorous, superficial and not to be depended on. they will be desirous of knowledge, but will not have patience and assiduity to give it the necessary attention. They will be desirous of praise for worthy actions, but will not have the spirit or perseverance to perform them in that degree of excellence that is requisite to attract the notice of wise men. They will be of a delicate constitution. If the eyebrow is thick of hair towards the nose and goes off suddenly very thin, ending in a point, the lady or gentleman will be surly, capricious, jealous, fretful and easily provoked to rage. In their love they will be intemperate. The eye that is large, full, prominent and clear, denotes a lady or gentleman to be of an ingenious and candid disposition, void of deceit and of an even, agreeable and affable disposition, modest and bashful in love, though by no means an enemy to its gratification. Firm, though not obstinate, of a good understanding, of an agreeable but not brilliant wit, but clear and just in argument, inclined to extravagance and easily imposed upon. The eye that is small, but advanced in the head, shows the lady or gentleman to be of a quick wit, sound constitution, lively genius, agreeable company and conversation, good morals, but rather inclined to jealousy, attentive to business, fond of frequently changing his place, punctual in fulfilling his engagements. Warm in love, prosperous in his undertakings and generally fortunate in most things. The lady or gentleman whose eyes are sunk in the head is of a jealous, distrustful, malicious and envious nature, deceitful in their words and actions, never to be depended upon, cunning in overreaching others, vainglorious and associates with lewd and bad company. The gentleman or lady who squints, or have their eyes turned awry, will be of a penurious disposition, but punctual in their dealings. A black eye is lively, brisk and penetrating, and proves the person who possesses it to be of a sprightly wit, lively conversation, not easily imposed upon, of a sound understanding, but if taken on the weak side, may be led astray for a while. A hazel eye shows the person to be of a subtle, piercing and frolicsome turn, rather inclined to be arch, and sometimes mischievous, but good-natured at the bottom. He will be strongly inclined to love and not over-delicate in the means of gratifying that propensity. A blue eye shows the person to be of a meek and gentle temper, affable and good-natured, credulous and incapable of violent attachment, over-modest, cool and undisturbed by turbulent passions, of a strong memory, in constitution neither robust nor delicate, subject to no violent impression from the vicissitudes of life, whether good or bad. A gray eye denotes the person to be of weak intellect, devoid of wit, but a plain, plodding, downright drudge, that will act as he is spirited by others. He will be slow in learning anything that requires attention. He, however, will be just to the best of his understanding. A wall-eye denotes the person to be of a hasty, passionate and ungovernable temper, subject to sudden and violent anger, haughty to his equals and superiors, but mild and affable to his inferiors. A red, or as it is vulgarly called, a saucer, denotes the person to be selfish, deceitful and proud, furious in anger, fertile in the invention of plots and indefatigable in his resolution to bring them to bear. A nose that comes even on the ridge, flat on the sides, with little or no hollow between the eyes, declares the man to be sulky, insolent, disdainful, treacherous and self-sufficient. If it has a point descending over the nostrils, he is avaricious and unfeeling, vainglorious and ignorant, peevish, jealous, quick in resentment, yet a coward at the bottom. A nose that rises with a sudden bulge a little below the eyes, and then falls again into a kind of hollow below, is petulant and noisy, void of science and of a very light understanding. The nose that is small, slender and peaked, shows the person to be of a fearful disposition, jealous, fretful and insidious, ever suspicious of those about him, catching at every word that he can interpret to his own advantage to ground his dispute upon, and also very curious to know what is said and done. The nose that is small, tapering round in the nostrils and cocked up, shows the person to be ingenious, smart, of a quick apprehension, giddy and seldom looking into consequences, but generous, agreeable, so as to carefully avoid giving offense, but resolute in doing himself justice when he receives an injury. The lips that are thick, soft and long, announce the person to be of weak intellect, credulous and slightly peevish, but by a little soothing easily brought back to a good humor. He is much addicted to the pleasures of love, and scarcely moderate in his enjoyment of them, yet he is upright in his conduct and of a timorous temper. If the under lip is much thicker than the upper, and more prominent, the person is of a weak understanding, but artful, knavish and given to chicanery to the full extent of his ability. The lips that are moderately plump and even, declare the person to be good-humored, humane, sensible, judicious and just, neither giddy nor torpid, but pursuing in every particular a just medium. The lips that are thin, show the person to be of a quick and lively imagination, ardent in the pursuit of knowledge, indefatigable in labor, not too much attached to money, eager in the pursuit of love, more brave than otherwise and tolerably happy in life. The lips that are thin and sunk inwards, denote the person to be of a subtle and persevering disposition, everlasting in hatred and never sparing any pains to compass his revenge, in love or friendship much more moderate and uncertain. The chin that is round, with a hollow between it and the lip, shows the person to be of a good-humored disposition, kind and honest. He is sincere in his friendship and ardent in his love, his understanding is good and his genius capacious. If he has a dimple it makes him better. The chin that comes down flat from the edge of the lips and ends in a kind of a chisel form, shows the person to be silly, credulous, ill-tempered and greedy of unmerited honors, captious, wavering and unsteady. He will affect great modesty in the presence of others, though he will not scruple to do the vilest actions when he thinks himself secure from discovery. The chin that is pointed upwards shows the person to be much given to contrivances. However fair he may speak to you, you can never depend on his friendship, as his purpose is only to make you subservient to his own designs. In love his generosity will be of the same stamp. Of the face in general, the person whose features are strong, coarse and unpleasant to the eye, is of a selfish, brutal, rough and unsocial disposition, greedy of money, harsh in expressions, but will sometimes fawn with a bad grace to gain his ends. The face that is plump, round and ruddy, denotes the person to be of an agreeable temper, a safe companion, hearty, jovial, fond of company, of sound principles and a clear understanding, faithful in love, etc. The face that is thin, smooth and even, with well-proportioned features, shows the person to be of a good disposition, but penetrative and active, somewhat inclined to suspicion, yet of an agreeable conversation, assiduous in the pursuits of love and strongly addicted to the delights of love. A face whose cheek-bones jut out with thin jaws, is of a restless and thinking disposition, fretful, etc. A face that is pale by nature, denotes a timorous disposition, but greatly desirous of carnal pleasures. A face that is unequally red, whether streaked or appearing in spots, shows the person to be weak both in body and mind, yielding easily to affliction and sickness. A face blotched shows the person to be addicted to drinking and vice, though frequently possessing the art to conceal the inclination therefor. The head that is large and round shows that the person has a tolerable understanding, but not near so good as he imagines. The head that is small and round, or if the face comes tapering, shows the person of an acute, penetrating disposition, much given to bantering humor, but of great sensibility. The head that is flat on either side, and deep from the face to the back, shows the person to be of a good understanding, deep penetration, great memory and of an agreeable temper, of slow belief and not easily imposed upon. Big and broad ears signify a simple man, of no understanding, sluggish, slothful and of an ill memory. Small ears denote a good understanding, but very small ears signify nothing but mischief and malice. Those that have them well proportioned, and neither too small nor too large, are persons of good understanding, wise, discreet, honest, shamefaced and courageous. Those that have them somewhat long and thin, are bold, impudent, unlearned, gluttons and very proud and scornful. A thin, soft beard denotes a person lustful and effeminate, of a tender body, fearful, delicate and inconstant. A red beard denotes first, a placid forehead, and the person is courteous and friendly, but not without some craft, is a very great flatterer, very soon angry and affects consequence. A dark beard is good, but the possessor is usually of a melancholy disposition, yet it denotes a person to be ingenious, sincere, thoughtful, constant, cordial, bold and fit to make a warrior. A pale beard denotes a phlegmatic person, who is temperate enough and tolerably prudent. He that hath a decent beard, handsome and thick of hair, is good-natured and reasonable in all things. Those who have little or no beard, but a small mustache, are of an ill humor, but very luxurious. Thus concludes the Witch's Dream Book and Fortune Teller. By A. H. No Part 2 Physiognomy. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to watch the next part in this series, The Witch's Dream Book and Fortune Teller Part 3, Palmistry, or one of the many other books currently, or soon to be uploaded, in the Weird Audiobooks YouTube library.